You know how they say that we have to have heroes we can associate with, to look up to. I think my dad did that for a lot of people.
I think every kid growing up wants to be a superhero. On pro wrestling, you can be one.
Singhs in the Ring is a brand new documentary debuting on Crave later this month that looks at the Great Gama Singh, a celebrated wrestler in Calgary's professional wrestling scene, and his many accomplishments and also his many sacrifices that he made to remain true to his roots, something, of course, that's a rarity in the business. Joining us live this morning for a closer look at the documentary, appropriately enough, is filmmaker Shane Fennessey. Shane, congratulations on this doc. Coming to Crave later this month. Looking forward to checking this one out. Tell us who Gama Singh is for people who may not be familiar.
Gama Singh was a professional wrestler, and he was in the world of stories. And in stories, you measure your greatest heroes against the greatest villains. And Gama Singh was the lead villain of Karachi Vice, the #1 bad guy trope in Stampede Wrestling, going up against the Hart family. Bret Hart, Bruce Hart, Ross Hart, and Owen Hart.
Yeah, exactly. And so when did you get the idea that, hey, you know, this would be an interesting person to feature and their life story for a documentary?
So many wrestling stories nowadays tend to be about the dark side of the ring or people that fell off. Gama Singh is the complete opposite. Gama had an opportunity to wrestle in WWF worldwide, become a huge star, but he gave that up to go back to Calgary, Stampede Wrestling, and be around his family, take care of them, raise his young kids. So many sports stories nowadays are about greatness. Yeah. Singhs in the Ring is about goodness.
Okay, I like the pitch there. And you speak to a lot of members of the Hart family about the Singh. What is sort of his reputation then in terms, I mean, it's wrestling, so he plays the heel, but I'm sure he's very well respected as well.
It's the complete juxtaposition. In the ring, the most hated man in Calgary. Outside of the ring, the sweetest, most mild-mannered, humble person. He was embarrassed that we wanted to do a documentary about him because he just says, why me? Like, why not, you know, these Hart families are the big wrestling stars. And we go, that's exactly why we should do your story, because it doesn't get told enough.
So how did you get him to open up and actually tell his story? Because if someone is already kind of reticent in that way, it could be a challenge as a filmmaker and a documentary maker to do that. What did you do to get him to open up and convince him, no, this is a story worth telling?
Well, I mean, the first part of it is that they lived a good life. There's no dark corners. There's no bad things. So, you know, people who are open and honest like that, they're not worried about a camera being shone on their life, right? And Gama was easy to convince because look, you inspired a generation of young Indo-Canadian people growing up, young kids who didn't have someone to look on the TV and see that looked like them. And so Gama said, yeah, of course, I'd love to keep the message of positivity going.
We're looking at clips here of this. What sort of archival, footage were you able to dig up, find? What did he have, sort of in terms of the, historic side of all this?
Yeah, like a lot of people, they don't necessarily keep the most photos. They had a fire at their house, which unfortunately we lost a ton of photos. But we were able to dig through the wrestling archives, ton of Stampede wrestling footage in there, a little bit of WWE footage in there as well. And I mean, that's what makes these stories come to life. You don't want to just look at a talking head. You want to see the action and see the grit and the grime. And unfortunately, you see and hear a lot of the racism that came out in the 70s and 80s.
I was going to say, that's probably, you say there's no dark side, but that was certainly a dark experience for Gama Singh. Obviously, he was dealing with that. Does he address that in the documentary, how he managed that? Yeah,
it's something that's interesting to look at with today's lens because back in that day, they hated him, and there was the racism with it. But that gave him popularity. That gave him that heat they talk about in the wrestling world. So Ed Whalen, the announcer and the star of Stampede Wrestling, more or less, used to tell the crowd, hey, cut it out. We don't want to be looked in Calgary as hillbillies or backwood or racist people. Gama goes, that's my heat. That's wwhy they want to come and see my matches, because they hate me. So I want to relish that. I want to bring it out.
Shane, before I let you go, and I know you're at different festivals and it's doing well at festivals, what did you personally learn from this experience making this?
God, try and be a better person. Gama just, everyone has such nice things to say about him. And he just always made the right choice for other people, for his family. He always, as they say in the wrestling industry, put someone over. That's to make other people look good. And so I think me and my whole team, we're going to try and do that.
That's remarkable. Yeah, that's good. That's a great message. Shane Fennessey, good luck with this. Singhs in the Ring, October 20th, you said on Crave?
That's right, Nick.
Okay, we'll look forward to that. Thanks very much for that.